Tonight's show is brought to you by Triton Dynamics. Have you ever wanted to work on the cutting edge of technology? Whether it's the advanced Kaiser armor-piercing gun or the legendary Erinya's special operations fighter, Triton Dynamics pushes technology to its limits and beyond. The Terran-Vasudin Alliance is looking for new tools to help fight the latest Shivan incursion and could use your help to develop them. If you have a background in engineering or technical design, Triton Dynamics wants to talk to you. Contact us today to find out how you can help keep the Shivans at bay and secure the future of humanity and Vasudin alike. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining you, hopefully back from the bathroom in time, is your co-host, Jim. Oh, no. He's still dropping a deuce. Also joining us is your co-host, Hunter.
Hello, hello.
And your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
Now, friends, you might have wondered what the hell that was at the beginning of the thing. This is an experimental show tonight. Hunter came up with the idea that maybe we should have a little more structure to our show, and I'm not against it. We can go a little long, and maybe sometimes too long. So having some structure is not a bad thing. I'm not against it, of course. So we're going to try that out tonight, and that was also a pre-recorded fake ad that I recorded a while back. We've never really used them, so we thought we'd give it a shot. Please feel free to, make comments or suggestions if there's nothing you like about tonight's show, because we want to make it great, not just for us, but for you. So, yes.
If you, the listener, have an idea for an ad, write us in, and it may get read on the show. If you have an idea for an ad, just shove it at us on Discord or Facebook. Fake ads, by the way. These are silly space game fake ads.
We're not taking money for real ads. We're talking about, I don't know if you noticed that.
Wait a minute. Yes, we are. No, yes, we are totally taking money.
We are not. That was the ad at the beginning. That was a fake ad for a corporation in the free space games. FYI.
Jim, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Welcome back, and your co-host, Jim. So yeah, if you have an idea for something from Mass Effect or I don't know, something like that, like something Starship Troopers-y, why not? Feel free to throw them our way. We have an email.
I'm John Shepard, and this is the best podcast on Citadel.
I hate that curator so much. I hate it. It's such a waste. So yeah, we have an email at hail@spacegamejunkie.com that goes to all four of us. Plus there are other ways to get in touch with us if you have ideas. So feel free to hit us up with them. So basically what we're going to try and do is not only have a chat with a guest. We don't have a guest tonight, which is how we thought we'd try this, but we're going to add a couple of things. The first thing we're going to do is add some news. Now, if you're not aware, SpaceGameJunkie.com, I update it every so often with a digest of all the happenings that have been going on. Devlogs, new games, patches, all that stuff. And so Hunter thought it might be a good idea to include that in the show. We're going to include it up front, just a few pieces to...
I'm trying to ruffle the feathers here, guys. Change the game. Roll the dice.
Tarnish the green. I don't know. What the fuck does that even mean?
As long as we're not rolling the hard six.
Fucking goddamn it, Spaz. Fuck. Good one. That was Battlestar Galactica, right? That's what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what does it mean?
Starbucks an angel. That's what it means. She was an angel the whole time. And all this will happen again. So, folks, let's start with the news. The big news this week, and that's why we have a pre-recorded video of Starpoint Gemini Warlords going on the stream, is that the folks at Little Green Man Gaming have announced Starpoint Gemini 3, which sounds super exciting. It's coming later this year. And in a Switch, this sounds like they're kind of going the Dark Star 1 route a little bit, where you're going to only have one ship, but it's modular. And whoa, we are dropping frames left and right, you guys. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, it's a modular ship, so you can build everything up to, like, I think a small frigate class with it, but it's also more cockpit oriented. So that might help with folks who have complained about Starpoint Gemini's controls being a little wonky, which, you know, they are. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so is the new Starpoint Gemini game, because they told me it's going to be like an RPG, right?
Well,
so
they're all
does
RPGs.
This mean that they're getting... Well, yeah, but this is more in the privateer kind of vein. So that's I'm wondering if they're kind of getting in the same territory as like Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, which would be a good thing because we have a lack of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you do have 3D movement as part of it because you're in smaller craft, so you're much more maneuverable. So they're taking it from that 2D that was in the previous Starpoint Gemini games, not Warlords, of course, but in the previous Starpoint Gemini games, and you're adding in the 3D movement.
Totally not at all like
Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, which is fine. It's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
It's just the similarity is funny, but I welcome it because they make good games, so I'm down.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it. I'm excited. I mean, I've played all the Starpoint Gemini games, even the first one, and they've always been a bit janky. That first one. Have you guys played the first one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so janky. But
the best way to play the first one is in the second one.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
That is absolutely true. But they do a good job of making each game successively less janky as they go. So I'm just super excited about it. I cannot wait. We're going to try and get them back on once they're ready to show something, which will probably be a couple months down the line, I think. But we're definitely going to have them back on the show, which is exciting. It'll probably be a morning show, so sorry, Jim and Hunter, but they're overseas.
Hey, it's okay.
Yeah, nothing I can do about that. So that is the biggest news from the week. The second biggest piece of news I thought was I think today as we record this. It is it's February 26th. The big 2.0 patch that Burned promised us on the podcast a couple of months ago is out, and it adds player-owned shipyards. That's the biggest add. But it adds a bunch of little things. It fixes a bunch of little things. The change log is absolutely massive on this one. Let's see if I can see it. Oh god, yeah, it's huge. I can't even cover everything. But Jim, you toyed with it today, didn't you?
A little bit, not enough to know anything, but
okay.
A little bit. It takes a while for that game to spin up, right? Because you got to scout around and and all that. So I was just basically dropping satellites for an hour and then didn't really see anything different.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just start a whole new game. And see
that's what I ended up doing. But the thing to me is like everything they add, great, but the fundamental stuff, like can my ship actually fly? Does it dock? Does it or does it get stuck on shit? That's the stuff, right? That is like the big fix to me. So I need to get to the point where I can believe that. I just haven't seen it yet. But they've had a lot of pilot error.
Well, I mean, I'm really glad they're working so diligently on this one. It's the frequency of updates for this one seems faster than any previous X game. Like they are just flying through the updates, which is great. Because this is the most accessible one, so I would hope that a lot more people would jump on this one. So the next big piece of news is Space Engineers is finally coming out of early access.
Yeah, this will be
in 2 days.
This will be interesting.
Yeah, I know, right? It's coming out on Thursday, the 28th of February. Which incidentally, oh wait, no. So it's coming out in 2 days, and yeah, I mean that has been one janky ride through early access. I'm gonna be surprised.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's been a janky ride for like a long time to see something like Space Engineers that's pretty much been in early access for forever at this point. I mean, gosh, like I feel like I've been playing Space Engineers off and on for several years at this point.
Yeah, it basically invented early access with that game.
If it almost feels like it between that and Star Citizen, but I feel like this was almost pre-Star Citizen, or at least I feel like I was touching it and playing it more than Star Citizen. So for that very reason, and the fact that they finally have multiplayer in a very stable place now than ever before, it's finally one of those things where I've been taking more of an interesting dive into it. But it still feels like there is something lacking other than just trying to survive. Because and that's always been my thing with survival crafting games like Space Engineers, is that once you figure it out, like what is left to do other than to explore?
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can build giant like role playing servers.
Yeah, but are there missions? Are there quests?
There's a bunch of new mods that have been popping up recently that like random bases, random crashed ships to go and explore. So I mean, the community is definitely getting involved in adding content to the game. But at the exact same time, Empyrean definitely has the mission type based stuff and the PvE type stuff a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah, I'd say Empyrean and Interstellar Rift do a way better job in terms of actual having a gameplay loop.
Well, I just think now that the game's going into full on like official status, I think you'll start seeing more community content that builds on that. So, I mean, there's people with servers now that have like several planets in them, more than just like the base 3. They've got like 10 planets and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot out there. But now that it's in the most stable it's ever been, I think you'll start seeing some more positive from it. But jury's still out.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm honestly, after their last game, I'm shocked this is coming out of early access, and I'm wondering if it's one of those situations where we're running out of money. Let's put it in there. Let's put it out of early access. I hope not, but they seem excited about it, so maybe it'll be all right.
Yeah, but when it comes out of early access, does that mean like okay, it's done? Because I don't know.
Or does it just mean feature complete, and then we got more to do? Because that can happen too. I've seen that both ways.
Which is not unfair as long as they're open about it. I'm fine with that. But we'll see. Not really sure how that's going to go. The next big piece of news, it's less of a space game, more of a science fiction game. But if you haven't played Off-World Trading Company, you need to. It's amazing. But they just made the multiplayer version of their game free. So you can play for free multiplayer matches of Off-World Trading Company. So if you've been wondering what that game is all about, that's a great way to try it. I mean, the game is amazing. It is a non-violent real-time strategy game where cunning and planning and guile win the day rather than, who can build the biggest army of tanks and just, stomp the enemy.
And the most violent thing in it is that you can send pirates after another corporation's transports and then have them attack them.
Or sabotage their buildings and blow them up. Stuff like that.
Right, but you're not actually building a military.
Right. No, you're hiring other people to do the dirty work for you. They've made a lot of updates to the game, so I loaded up a skirmish the other night. I got my ass reamed by the AI. Like, it wasted no time, like, auctioning off really good plots for itself, which I couldn't buy because I didn't have enough money. The only thing I could say was I was not in debt like they were. But in the end, that didn't help me. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have been interested in Off-World Trading Company, that is a great way to check it out. And there's also new DLC coming on Thursday as well, which includes new maps of Mars, and 3 new single-player narrative campaigns. Cool. That's going to be $4. That sounds like a lot for $4. I mean, that's a lot of stuff for $4. That's pretty cool. So the next piece of news, it's a patch, but it's a really big one. If you guys haven't played Spaceborne, it is God, how do you even describe it? Like, it's kind of a privateer thing, but a little Star Citizen-y because you can get out of your ship and run around and shoot things. They just, in a patch, added a full-blown dynamic economy. And they acted like it was no big deal. Like, yeah, we just added a dynamic economy now. Like, oh God, what?
As you do.
As it happens. Yeah, as you do. Like, it had barely an economy before. Like, you could do a little bit of trading, but it was mostly, I found this shit in some wreckage. I'm going to sell it. That was pretty much the trading. But now they have an economy. So that game is coming along amazingly well. You need a fairly powerful PC to run it. It's got...
Yeah, it's pretty beefy.
It's pretty beefy. But if you have one and you've been wanting a game where you could fly around your ship but get out and run around space stations and stuff, but also like explore and do mining and
but the mining is great.
Yeah, the mining is fun. I love the mining. I love because you gotta scan a system to find asteroid fields, and then you go in your mine. It's really fun. Yeah, Spaceborne is really fantastic. So they've been just adding so much to it with like every big patch. Like they've added, I think they have player-made missions now in the game. I think that was like a patch or two ago. So they are just adding.
Yeah, there's so much.
And it's not even out of early access. And they're just layering on the content. It's amazing. This game is
it's like one dude in Turkey making this.
Yeah, and he's working so hard. And it's just going to be, if he keeps going at the rate he's going and it ends up being like stable and everything at the end, it's going to be a game to beat once it hits 1.0. It is going to be like one of the top games. Like, it's just so impressive. And I think it had another patch recently that fixed some problems that big patch added. But yeah, it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff here. And the final piece of news, it's also patch related. There's a kind of a first-person space shootery thing called Astro Kill that came into early access a couple of years ago. And development like died for a while. Like it was like radio silence for like a year. And then all of a sudden this massive goddamn patch came out the other day that like updates the engine and adds, better targeting and all kinds of crap. Like the changelog is freaking massive. And I did a run of the missions and they feel a lot better. They feel a lot more fuller. So I'd say that's another one to keep an eye on. It's like it's not like as grandiose as Spaceborne, but it's got really great combat and it's really pretty. So that's the news. That wasn't so bad, was it? How long was that? Was that about 8, 9 minutes, 10 minutes? That's not too bad, right? I think if we keep it to that, that'll be okay. What do you guys think? Was that a decent length? Was that too long?
No, that's good.
Mileage may vary.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some days where there's just a lot more going on.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's okay.
I'm going to try and keep it to about half. I'm going to try and keep it to maybe half a dozen at most. So we don't go too crazy. But who knows? There might be like, Star Citizen hit 1.0.
I'll be a great grandfather by then.
It's not April 1st yet, bro. Come on.
I know. It's got procedural omelets. So that was the news. So now we're going to move on to the next part of our news structure. If we had a guest, this is where we'd start talking to them. But we don't have a guest this week.
After the break, our guest.
How would we even do that? Like, I guess I could mute us all and play another commercial and then come back. I
After
guess
this,
try Obi-Wan's Jedi Flakes.
There you go.
If you strike them down, if you strike them down in your cereal, you'll become more possible than they could possibly imagine. I don't know.
Midi-chlorians, part of a nutritious breakfast.
yeah.
You remember the robot chickens like Admiral Akbar cereal?
Oh God, yeah.
Your taste buds can't handle flavor of this magnitude.
What the hell is a falcon? It's my favorite thing ever.
Who the hell are they?
Oh, shit. So, Hunter, you said you had some stuff that you had on your mind. So why don't you drop it on us?
I've been talking to Jim here about this for the past couple of days, just kind of like trying to wrap my thoughts about just the shift that the gaming industry has been going through, and then like I feel like it has hit full force more so recently than ever before. And I feel like there's been just more backlash. I think the gamers in general, I think, are starting to really feel it, where a few of us have been crying wolf since like day one. Not crying wolf, but like we've been flagging these issues down since the beginning, and I think most of the gaming culture is starting to pick up on it. Right. We're tired of paying so much for these games that are just not finished. It's like with everything from like Anthem to Fallout 76 to Mass Effect Andromeda a couple years ago to, you name it. It's just that it's almost been getting worse. It used to be like, this game came out and it had some issues, but like, a few days later they patched it and it was. Now it's just like, well, it'll be ready in a year. But
yeah, it's like 2017, the loot box apocalypse. And then 2018, it's like, is this how you follow that up? Really? Did we learn nothing? Or are you punishing us for rebelling against loot boxes? You just like,
right.
So wait, I haven't played Anthem. Is it that bad?
Well, yeah. You look at the reviews. I mean, the actual reviews, video reviews, people who have legitimately played it, not the shills out there that are just trying to, get their name out.
Hunter watched me sleep through about an hour of it.
Oh shit.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can't really speak from firsthand experience, but watching other people play it, not just reading reviews or like watching a video review, like watching people play it in real time, you're just like, wow.
Now, if I had been an EA game changer, I probably would have had a lot more fun with it because I got a big check. The game is a lot more fun with $10,000.
Let's not. That's a whole nother thing. Let's not go there.
Well, that's part of what happened though. Like that was actually one of the things that happened is a reviewer got a review copy from EA directly as part of their program, and he gave it his honest opinion, which was not good. Now
the audacity to actually speak the truth.
EA says it wasn't them. Like, it wasn't the reason. It wasn't because he was brutally honest. It was because apparently he broke some other terms in their agreement.
Well, he had the wrong watermark on his video. Instead of saying sponsored video, it actually said EA Game Changer.
Yeah.
And apparently you're not allowed to let on that you're a member of that elite group.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you're a game changer, don't talk about being a game changer.
So maybe there is an NDA.
It's like a Fight Club thing.
Yeah, it's like the first rule of EA Club.
Don't talk about EA Club. But no, so like with all of this going on, I was also talking to Jim about the gaming as a service industry that we are in full-fledged force on. And in some cases, it's being done really, really well because you're getting really good content, and they're not trying to shill out all of the microtransactions that are happening in the scenes.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think like Ubisoft is a good example of someone who's doing it. I think well, like their games are online, but
That's a very good observation, Brian, because that's the point I've been trying to make too for the past couple of days. Is as I sit down and think about it over the last decade, when I think about a company who's been more consistent at putting out really good new games, that's considered quote unquote a triple A. I mean, Titanfall 2 came out; it was good. It unfortunately didn't get a lot of good attention, but it wasn't a bad game. That's the unfortunate part.
No, you have to remember what happened with Titanfall 2, though, is they got sandwiched in between Call of Duty. Call of Duty came out, the next week Titanfall came out, and the week after that Battlefield 1. So EA dropped the better game in the middle of the two Titans.
Well, they claim it was they claim that Respawn chose that date. So they passed the buck. But I don't know if Respawn chose the other two dates, so I don't know.
Yeah. To hear Respawn tell it, they don't claim to have chosen that date. But yeah, it's kind of interesting now to see the other side of that, because Respawn jumps out with Apex Legends out of nowhere. See, this is the beauty of this, okay? This is a return to something I hope the entire games industry is paying attention to this, right? Because it took Fortnite, like 2 weeks to get like up to 20 million players or something, a month maybe. These guys were at 25 million players within 72 hours. Right?
It's pretty.
And you know what?
It's pretty.
They didn't speak a word about this game until the day it popped out. This game did not exist in anyone's mind until the moment that it was available. It was just like, hey guys, here it is. It's a game. Pow. And within 72 hours, 25 million players. So that tells me that you don't need influencers. You don't need video game press.
You need a good game.
You don't need any of that shit. You just need a good game that sells itself, right? And they drop the right product in the right market, because Fortnite fatigue is a thing.
With the right
people are so sick of it.
But from the right company, because again, Respawn has a lineage that is undeniable.
Yeah, but I don't know that people were looking at that. It's if you look at Titanfall and Titanfall 2, right? The recent history.
But they also
in this
have
game, the shooting mechanic. Oh yeah, but it's like our memories are short, right? So you're only as good as the last thing you put out, which was Titanfall 2. So people look at and with Titanfall 2, no, honestly, BioWare, right? You're only as good as the last thing you put out. Otherwise, I would say BioWare is the best developer, but that's not the same BioWare.
But that's the point I was making, though. In today's industry, you're only as good as the last thing you put out. As were beforehand, like within the last 5 to 10 years, if you were to say BioWare, I'd been like, oh man, yeah.
But what if I said Microprose?
Oh,
exactly.
Ooh,
exactly.
Ooh. Itchy.
Shots fired.
Yeah, that's other news. Microprose is back.
Are they though? There's one.
No,
I mean,
the name is back.
The name
is back.
It's with great salt that I have to say Westwood Studios, but I'm just gonna go on.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, the whole Microprose deal, that's the guy that's like running Titan IM, which you've watched Blue Drake jizz all over himself. You know what? That's like, it's like Arma 3 that plays smooth like butter.
Right.
So maybe something good will come of that, but that's all we know. So, but yeah, Apex though.
So
the shooting mechanics are solid.
Yeah, the thing with Apex is, of all of the battle royale games that are out there that I've personally tried, and I'm not good at any of them, but this is the first one. Well, it's just because it's just not my jam, right? Like I'm not cramming in hours a day just playing that all the time. But like, if I was like back in high school, like playing it, oh hell yeah, dude. So Apex Legends is by far the best battle royale game I have ever seen. And there are so many things that they're doing in this game that are right.
Yeah.
And it's impressive. Now, whether or not you like battle royale games or not, this, like, if you just go and look at the mechanics, how they're like doing things, how like the design of it, it's just, it has some beauty and aesthetic to it from a mechanical point of view that is just super impressive.
Yeah. And again, they did not run like 10 betas. They didn't have, you know, it didn't come out and need like a day one patch because it was buggy and, you know, people crashing all the time. Nobody could stay connected. It wasn't a shit launch, right? It was a game that came out. It was competent, not perfect, but better than anything else. So
yeah, I think the only thing that they've had issues with is net connections, but like nothing the game itself that's breaking so
yeah,
far.
I just can't get over the stealth release. Like, it's unheard of that it's just like, here's this game, it's great, play it, bang. And there was no hype up, there was no, you know, like, and to contrast that with the other game from EA this month, where it's like, well, we have like, you have to look at a spreadsheet to know when you get to play the game based on what tier you bought it in. Right, that whole bullshit with Anthem.
I mean, it reminded me of a Kickstarter pitch where you actually have to check the chart to see when you get your rewards. No, that's not necessarily a bad thing because Kickstarter has to sort of do that.
But it ain't a $60
because you have so many tiers.
It ain't a $60 retail game that's then microtransacted to shit. You know,
that I have an issue
it's like the best that could have happened to that game is it could come out and be Destiny 2. But it ain't. You know, when Destiny 2 came out, it was like, it feels good, but there's nothing really holding my attention here, right? It's kind of hollow. Well, then they filled it in. This game doesn't feel good. So no amount of like, let's slap content in here is going to do it. So is dead. Let's like start a betting pool on how long till it's free to play. But the thing that amazes me, though, is that EA stealth released Anthem like days before Apex, rather, days before Anthem came out. Yeah, and it just eclipsed Anthem. Like, Anthem just does not exist. Have you looked at Twitch? Because Apex is blowing out League of Legends. It's blowing out Fortnite. Whoa. It's top of the charts. It has been solid top of the charts since it came out.
That's so great.
It's just, it's just like, it's something new.
It's not for me. I tried it, and I think games like Super Animal Royale and Gene Shift spoiled me for Battle Royale because those games last like what?
Super Animal Royale is so good.
They're both so good, but those matches last like what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Right? They're fast, they're violent. Great. Whereas Apex, I'm running around like, okay, 20 minutes dead. Oh, well, that was
the thing about Apex though is the way that they've designed the new game is you have to play it with a squad.
Right, which I'm fine with, but I was still so bored. It's like,
you never played PUBG.
No, I
PUBG, didn't. You would run around for a half hour trying to just find bullets for a gun.
Oh god!
Right? It's like awful. I got two guns. I got a pistol. I got an assault rifle, and I got a pocket full of shotgun shells, and I got a can of beans and a smoke grenade, and I ain't got shit. Right? And then you run into a guy with a sniper rifle with a scope that kills you from like up on the mountain or whatever, and it's like pop and you're dead. But you blew a half hour of your life with no ability to interact with other people other than just be a victim. Yes, awful. It absolutely is. So that's the thing, right? And if you play DayZ that it's based on, it's even worse. You could spend a day trying to find bullets for a gun and then get murdered and then people take your shit. Oh, no. So I just don't have anything for those games. But with Apex, it's like, hey, let's drop there because somebody who's played the game a couple of times knows that's a high loot zone. We're going to drop in there. We're going to get guns, ammo, and the accessories that you hook on the guns, and we're going to be ready to go. And there's a flow of the map. There's a guy that's got a video out that explains like what the map flow is, and it makes perfect sense now that I've watched that this game, the map is amazingly designed because they've got certain loot zones that people are going to get attracted to. They've got that supply ship that's like a magnet for noobs. People that know what they're doing don't go there, but noobs are like, oh yeah, we're going to go, and it thins the herd real fast. There's places where if you're not in the circle, it's not a big deal because the circle like going past you is not a death sentence like it is in other games, because the other games is just like, oh god, I can't keep up and I'm dead. But here it's like, yeah, it does enough damage to encourage you to move your ass, right? But you can heal past it, right? And the other thing about it is that they have these like ropes that go up, and there's a balloon in the air. And when you get up there, you get your rocket pack back, and you get to like redeploy on the map, and you can go pretty far. So it's like,
that's an amazing feature. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many little things that are in this game that they just, it didn't have any public testing or beta or any of that bullshit. It was just like, these guys just put this perfectly competent product out without a word.
I'm not surprised.
And
well, there was a word. They did announce it beforehand, before they.
Well, they showed
like
it to some influencers like the Friday before.
Yeah,
right. The week before, pretty much.
But they were under NDA and they blew it because they weren't supposed to talk about it over the weekend.
Yeah, but that window compared to other pre-release windows was astonishingly small. Well,
we had how long on Anthem? Like a year and a half. And the moment that I saw that game, I was like, this is gonna suck. And truth, right? It's like, wow, Mass Effect died for this.
Really? Exactly. I was about to say the exact same thing.
But yeah, game as a service, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. So there, if you look at it, it's like, okay, so EA is like, we want a Fortnite. Well, they got a Fortnite. And EA is also like, we want, I don't know, a Destiny, right? Or a Warframe, something that is a game as a service that we can just milk, because nobody can be World of Warcraft. Everybody's finally given up on trying that. Even World of Warcraft can't be World of Warcraft anymore.
I'm going to touch on that in a second.
Yeah, so it's like the MMO space is out, and these companies are still addicted to the idea of, we need residuals, we need monthlies off of people. We need something where the game continues. And like Rainbow Six, the new one, whatever the hell that's called, Rainbow Six something. Siege. Yeah, that game is doing amazingly well, right? And it's not because of the monetization, although it's there, it's making money for them. But they keep putting free content into it, and it's good. And you could pay for the operators, you can buy a season pass, whatever. I can unlock them by just playing the game, right? If you like the game, if you're playing the game, you're unlocking the shit. So it's what it is, right? So it's really like people, you get into the point where people throw money into the game because they want to support the game, not because, oh god, the pain.
Not because it's a paywall that they have to get past.
Right. Yeah. And that's why people, like, I've spent money in Warframe. I've probably spent $400 in Warframe in the last 2 years. But there's a reason, right? Not because I feel compelled to. It's not because the game puts me in a headlock and, twists my arm until I finally say uncle and give it money. No, it's because it's like, hey, they deserve some money for this. So I don't have a problem with that. I'll buy their premium bling stuff. It's fine. But yeah, it's a
different mentality. Definitely different mentality.
But I think that's where the business is leaning, is the business. These companies that don't get it are from the boardroom saying, we need a Fortnite, deliver us a Fortnite. And it's like,
it's game development being directed by the shareholders. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's development from the boardroom. But anyway, go ahead.
So that's exactly my next point, is that I do not think that we will ever see a new AAA MMO.
I also don't think we'll ever see a new AAA game that allows you to host your own server.
Well, I don't know about that, but the chances of that one are pretty slim. And that just compounds the issue of games as a service, where they're trying to get the MMO numbers to milk the microtransactions out of it. And so instead of paying like monthly fees, and it's proven stupidly effective if you look at Fortnite. That game made so much money, but it was free, and it just boggles my mind.
It makes so much money. They opened a store. That's how much money it made. Like,
something like that.
But it's also, I think, smart that they did that, because they diversified. They are not a Fortnite company, because Fortnite just got served. And so you can't build your whole business on this is going to be forever.
Right. No,
right? It was wise for them to come up with Plan B.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it's like invest it while you got it. Don't just pay it out to the shareholders and have a hot tub party. It's like do something with them.
Well, and that's again where I feel like you see the differences in company style between a company that's public and a company that's private. Like, so, we're starting to see a little bit of some of this issue with EA and Blizzard, Activision, for example. They're dealing with some weird stuff, as we're like places like Bethesda and like CD Projekt Red. They're not public companies like those other ones are. And so when they do corporate restructuring, it's for different reasons. I was reading recently where people were like, oh no, like CD Projekt Red, GOG, they're dealing with financial struggles and they had to like fire 12 people. And I was like, yeah, but then they like hired double the amount of like those that they like fired. So it's like, I don't think they're suffering anything, I know that they're changing their policy in the GOG store to be like, no more of this, like, bonus price back to people to make it a little bit more fair for the different regions, which I understand why they did that and I respect why they did that, but I also don't have a problem with them killing that program. So it's one of those things where I'd rather see more of GOG trying to work on getting some of these older games more frequently, but I understand that they also have to making money to pay their people to try and get those other games, so they have to keep doing what they're doing in order to do that.
Yeah, I wonder though, have they dried out the well on the abandonware stuff or not?
No, dude, there are so many other abandoned games out there, or there's so many other like lost in IP hell or licensing hell that.
Well, I don't mean that I don't mean that they've run out of games to get. I mean, the profit that they would make out of just being a store for new games eclipses what they would get for selling abandonware by so much.
Well, potentially, but they're also still a curation store. Like, they don't just allow anything on their store. It's still they still curate even the new stuff. So
yeah.
Which I still applaud them for, honestly. I still think that like they started out that way and they continue to do that. So it gives them a little bit more control instead of just opening up the floodgates like Steam has, where I get why Steam did it. But at the same time, the fact that they did it also has put us in the predicament that we're in today, to be quite so.
But it's interesting that they're coming out with Cyberpunk and they've already said they're not going to make it exclusive to their store at all. So they're going to sell it everywhere.
Well, they didn't do that with the Witcher game.
Right. But I'm saying we're in the age now of where, like the whole Epic store is paying games to be exclusive for 12 months.
For a year.
Yeah. So this would be like Microsoft, if ever they were going to say, hey, we got this game everybody's going to want, and we're only selling it in our store because we're not going to give Valve 30%.
You can't just exclusively look at the PC market here on this one, because the console markets, which I'm sure the new games also going to be going on consoles. The Xbox and PlayStation have been doing this kind of crap for years, which is why I've always been so pissed at Microsoft being like exclusive, and I'm just like, yeah, it's a timed exclusive. Let's not
now
lie to these people.
But now Microsoft's going to be putting out Switch exclusives.
Well, that's another interesting factor of the console things. That's a side note. But
I don't even know how to process that, man.
It's looking really strong. Like they're going to put Xbox Game Pass on the Switch, not just their social networking stuff. I was reading some insider stuff today, and it was.
But didn't I say
pretty damning?
They're trying to get a streaming service. So the only way that you're going to play Halo on your Switch is to stream that shit.
At first, it was just their social stuff. That's what they said. But some new things have come out saying like they're putting Game Pass on the. I was shocked.
Right, and the only way that Game Pass is going to be usable is if it's a streaming service. That's the only way. Because none of that shit is So, and soon coming to your Android phone. Watch for it.
Well, and that's another interesting part of this market talk is that both Google and Amazon and Verizon, of all places, are getting into the game streaming talk. Like they're all announcing that they're going to be doing.
And I'm like, oh Jesus, no, don't do it.
Yeah, and pardon me for getting on my PCMR soapbox for a second. This frustrates me because I came from and what interested me so much about the games and gaming in general was like I have this cool toy, this game that I bought, and I can do so many things with it, which is where the gaming industry boomed from in the late 90s and early 2000s was from like the modding community and like the underground wares community. Like, I don't think people fully realize that they sold copies of Half-Life specifically so that they could play Counter-Strike and only Counter-Strike. Like people bought copies of Half-Life just to play that, or just to play Day of Defeat or whatever. Like they weren't just buying it for the base game.
Sold a lot of Skyrim.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's not just the base game that people were interested in with that. Mods are what sold.
Mads. Yeah. But okay, so look at it this way too. Then when consoles came around, specifically middle of the original Xbox generation, right? So at that point, all of the game makers are making for the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. And then PC gets ports of that. So that hobbled the PC so much because the PC could have done way more than what we actually got, but we got.
But then 2004 hit, and PC got a lot of stuff in 2004 because 2003 was that Xbox, original that you're talking about. But then, like in 2004. Oh boy, did PC get a lot of gaming.
But then look at PlayStation 3, Xbox 3, or 360 era, right? And then
2006,
right. And then now, when you look at things that come out, right, it's stuff that's like Xbox One or whatever, which is a lot closer to PC. But the PC gets performance stuff, right? Like if you want to play 4K 60, that's the magic on PC right now.
My frames.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's like I got a monitor that can do 165 frames. So if your game serves up 30, I'm going to be pissed. But for the longest time, we lived with like, oh God, I'm frame rate locked at 30 frames on a PC. Why? Because it's a shitty console port. I got consolitis, and we're finally free of that. Thank God. But but my fear is when we get to the streaming shit, then these companies are going to say, you know what? Now we're platform agnostic. Everything's going to be in the cloud. We don't have to sell anything to people. We don't need the Steam store.
Right. So you're hitting on what I'm trying to really get to, is that we saw in the last 5 years alone a massive increase in the PC market. The PC gaming market exploded like largely, where I was starting to see more and more about case mods. People are getting into RGB color schemes more than ever before, like the tinted, plexiglass windows and all this other, like PC gaming was like massively exploding. And I'm not saying that I'm seeing like a crash in the market, but I feel like that the reasoning for any of that is going away. Like, what would be the point of having any of that? Like, that as a hobby is no longer like sustainable when the market is shifting greatly.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be like, okay, I can stream
phone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I don't even need a phone or whatever, because at that point, my smart TV has Bluetooth. I hook a controller to the TV and I just stream the freaking TV.
We talked about that. Yeah,
it's coming.
It's already here.
It's going to be, so at that point, it's like you could have the rippinest PC in the world. It's only going to be a stream catcher for whatever comes off the cloud, and fuck that. I want to run my game locally, because the other problem is that the games that will get made are the ones that suit the platform, and that platform does not deal well with lag. It's like the games are going to have to tolerate the limitations of the platform.
I have a counterpoint to make. I was able to get into the Project Stream thing where you could play Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Chrome, and it was phenomenal. Like, you could not tell the difference. You couldn't tell the difference between, because I bought Origins because Odyssey was so good, and I tried them both out one after the other, and yeah, you couldn't tell which one was local and which one wasn't.
Here's a question I got for you, Jim, and this will probably back up what you just said, Brian. Remember when I did the NVIDIA like multiplayer stream thing to you when we played Lego Star Wars?
Yeah.
How was the quality on that?
It was okay, but it was running at like 720p, and it was a little bit laggy, but it was like mostly okay.
Right.
It was doable, but it was not good.
Right. And that was coming from my machine, from my internet connection to your machine on your internet connection, which are just resident. So that's a thing to take into consideration when like you have... And I've seen what real game streaming can do now with what Brian just said, and it shocks me.
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, especially whenever you see some of the technology that's going on where I forget what this company was doing, but they got that shit down to the point where it was like, under 10 millisecond lag. And I don't understand how, if it's like predictive, whatever, or something, but it's like they had some kind of stream compression shit going on. It was Linus from Linus Tech Tips went out there and was showing that off like a year ago, and it was just like, okay, that's scary, because I don't want it to succeed, but I fear that it will.
Right. Well, and I get the reasoning behind it and like the use cases for it, but
bro, it stops all the pirates.
It's never going to it's never going to replace local computing, because local games, because I mean, not everyone's going to have this super broadband connection that allows.
Well, you say that, Brian, but like there's been so much push in the industry for these changes. Like, I honestly never thought I would see the day when mobile was starting to be taken this seriously as it is today. The mobile gaming market is taking off hard, and Fortnite is like, you go on Amazon right now, and I was looking at like mobile gaming peripherals, like these dongles that you hook up to your phone to like make a game. Like, there's now gaming cell phones are being put out. Thanks, Razer. Like, and they're not the only ones. There's other companies that are putting out gaming specific phones so people can.
Well, that new Samsung, the big ad push was the best phone to play Fortnite. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, and that kind of shocks me a little bit. And I understand, like, there's a market where people, as a developer, you want to make money doing what you're doing. Like, I get that, and I'm not trying to say don't do that. I see this shift, and I think to myself, why is this shift exist? What is it about the community before that made it so that you had to take this ability away? And I get games as a service. Like they can milk and monetize these games for all that they're worth, and then they don't even blink an eye about it. They're almost willing to take the L for the first year because they know people are still going to be milking.
Right. And if everything streams off the cloud, then there is no community made content to compete with your microtransaction shit. So like it's Bethesda-itis, right? Like, hey, how many Fallout 76 mods are there? 0. Right? So they have full control of that. And you bet they'll allow mods, but it'll be through their platform, which will be the paid mods like they tried to do with Fallout 4 and failed. But, it's like, well, this is the way that we can make it a game as a service, right? And also, this is the weird shit, is they came out with their roadmap for the next 12 months. And it's like, really? Is that what happens with an Anthem 2 also released a year-long roadmap for content. And it's like, so every game that comes out now, we're going to get a roadmap for, year by year of what's going on.
Elite Dangerous much?
Yeah. Thanks, Braben.
They're not even doing that anymore, though. Like, do they even have a roadmap anymore?
Well, yeah, because they pissed everybody off with that DLC that split the player base. And
Horizons? Yeah.
Yes. And then it was supposed to be a seasonal thing, but then they went like how many years and just continued to miss because they were like, Horizons is going to be this and it's going to be wrapped in a year. And then it took like 2.5 years. So
they're still not done. They still have yet to add the carriers and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. But then they said like it's like after they finish this cycle, right? Like the next big patch, whatever, then it's going to be like DLC stuff. They're going to sell it in pieces. So that's going to be
yeah. And this is where again I go back to the initial point. People are starting to get tired of paying $60 for these games, and
then continue to pay.
But that's just it. They're getting tired of it, but they're going to keep doing it anyway because everybody's like hoping, oh, maybe this game's different, or maybe this game's different, and that's just so unfortunate. Unfortunate.
People are dumb enough to just continue to. It's like, I have to have the new hotness.
Day one, buy our $60 game and buy the $60 season pass while you're.
Yeah, and then we'll sell you a red dot reticle for $5 for your gun. Ooh.
So there's a slight counterpoint to some of that, and I say some because it's only one aspect that I'm referring to here, and it's with the way some companies have put out a game in Japan. They put out all the DLC for it, and then they port it to the West, and they stagger the DLC release schedule. And the reason why they do that, even though they released all the DLC already in Japan, is not for any reason other than to curb the sales back to places like GameStop. Especially if you're on a console, people are going to buy the disc, then they'll play the game for a few weeks and then return it. But if there's a DLC release schedule that is, say, a few months down the line, it gives the game a little bit more of some legs. And I can respect that. I mean, at least they're honest and upfront about why they're doing it that way.
That is a little different, and I do agree with it. Like, I do respect that, which is kind of
when that streaming happens. Well, farewell games.
Yeah, well, GameStop's already in deep. Well, they're
every time I go past there, it looks more like ThinkGeek and less like GameStop. It's becoming a place.
Yeah.
Well, because ThinkGeek owns them. Yeah, it's quite sad, really.
But ThinkGeek is shutting down, right? Isn't ThinkGeek shutting down? I think
I'm not shut sure, a couple of retail stores, but I think that's what's going on is they're killing the retail store that's a dedicated because they're doing better in a mixed store with a GameStop.
Yeah. So to Spaz's point, like for example, with Destiny 2, they announced the game and then they announced like this DLC is coming, this DLC is coming, and this DLC. Like they're already in the middle of working on it and they say that it's coming out. It's not like, by the way, we're making deal. It's not like they come out with the game and then like 6 months later, like, hey, we've developed new DLC. It'll be out in another month. Like they tell you up front that they're already working on DLC that'll be out here, here, and here to kind of keep that going. But that goes back to the games as a service. You keep playing because they're going to keep pushing out more and more content. It's interesting, though, with EA. Here's a funny thought someone pointed out to me the other day about EA with Apex, is they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they did the whole Battlefield 5 thing, and then they did Apex, and then they've got Anthem, and it's just like there's not enough players for all three of those games, so it's like something's going to have to freaking give.
Right, and it's going to get worse next month because then they're putting out the Battle Royale mode for Battlefield 5.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that like Apex is just it's gonna not help their cause.
Yeah, it's like there's more gamers than ever, but
there's only so many of them.
There's only so many people that are gonna play the same type of game.
Because let's be honest, there's still people playing Star Wars Galaxies that are not playing Apex Legends. Like
well, maybe that's the lesson to the industry is quit all making the same fucking game. Make different games because one game is going to suck up the whole audience. If everybody makes the same game, there will be one winner and everybody else is a loser. So make different games.
Here's why, and here's exactly why Apex is doing so well is because they were able to take what all these other battle royales were doing wrong and not do that.
Yeah.
So it's technically not the same. Because they already learned from someone else's mistakes.
But, right. Well, I mean, it's the same game type. It's still a battle royale, but they're not making the same.
Yeah, but there can only be one, right? It's like freaking Highland. There will be one. Yeah, exactly. So, and Epic just felt the quickening, right? It's like okay, I'm sure they're not crying, but they're concerned. Okay, so
someone's here.
Yeah, so I think the message to the industry is maybe it's time to make something else. Like look at other markets that are out there that are completely unserved right now, flight simmers, and make something for them, right? Because
DCS is the only thing going, and boy, is it expensive.
It's not only expensive. Oh, you could be $1,000 into that game. It's not only expensive, but it's just it's unmanageable.
It's not a game. Come on.
Well, that's the problem. It's not a game, right?
It's not a game.
But I want something that is not Ace Combat either, right? I want something in the middle.
There's that Harrier. There's that Harrier game that's in early access that's looking to be a good EF 2000 successor. It's coming along. They just had an update for it.
It's coming along. I don't know, man. It's just I'm fatigued with that thing because it's been
to be fair to Ace Combat, it's not trying to be a simulator.
Oh, absolutely not. I just want US trying Navy to be fighters again.
Yeah, it's just in between that sim space and the arcade space and it has its niche and it does it well.
Yeah,
and I understand it doesn't click with everyone.
Yeah, nobody want those old Microprose and lighter Jane's games that are like, on the lighter
and lucky
side.
for you, Microprose is back, baby.
With Warbirds 2020. Woo!
Yeah, that's not the place that I would want that to be.
God.
But again, goddamn game as a service. Stop.
Just remaster European Air War and put it on Steam. That is all you need to do.
Oh my god!
Just do that.
European Air War would be so. Why can't GOG put that out? If GOG wants some money, man. European Air War, please.
I could not buy that fast enough. Like as I would buy that in milliseconds if that appeared on GOG.
So yeah, so it's not to say that the casual gamer is ruining, you know, my games. It's not that. It's the it's just the fact that there are more ways to game than ever before. And because it's becoming more and more trendy to make games, there's actually like college courses for this stuff. You know, people can learn Unity in their basement. You know,
I wonder though, the whole college, like, I'm going to school to be a game developer. I wonder if that's like tapering off now. Like, kids have realized.
No, I think it's classified differently though now. I don't think they like. I don't think they specifically advertise it as like be the game maker guy. I think it's something else. But
yeah, it can pass me that controller. I got to tighten up the graphics on level 3.
Yeah. So really though, it's just like you see the big business getting involved in a lot of things, and it's just really changing the scheme in the market a lot. And
shareholders as a service.
Yeah. No, and
ooh, trademark that.
Yeah. There was, for example, licensing and IPs are a big point of contention for me because, you know, we've said on the show before, like, I just have so much frustration with how like the Star Trek IP is being handled in gaming, where it's either going to their VR game, which is good. Don't get me wrong, I like the bridge simulator, but everything else is just going to Star Trek Online, and that's not a game that's doing like the best either.
Then there are the pay to win mobile ports because, you know, there's those.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like those exist in the same space. You know what I'm saying? Like, no pun intended. But
right,
you know,
I get what you're saying.
You know, I just it's not the same type of gaming experiences that you would find elsewhere. So with that, you know, on top of how poorly EA has been handling Battlefront and any of the Star Wars titles, so many Star Wars titles have been announced and then canceled and then announced and canceled. Apparently, Respawn is working on, as you know, some like Fall of the Jedi that takes place in between Episode 3 and 4 game that they're working on. You know, which we don't really know much other than that, and I'm concerned that even that's going to get canceled somehow, some way down the road, because they were working on some big open world Star Wars game, and that just got shit canned, like out of nowhere. It just was like, and they're not making this. I'm like, but why? For what? For what reason? Like, when you have people who are still playing revived versions of Star Wars Galaxies, and I'm not just saying like, you know, a couple hundred people, I'm talking about like 1,000+ people playing, you know, these old revived
Battlefront 2. People are still playing Republic
the
Commando.
Original
the original Battlefront 2. Yeah, people are still playing Republic Commando, Racer.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a problem in the industry of blockbuster-itis. Like, if I was a small game company, I would say that if I build a game and enough people played the game that I made income that was equal to double my operating expenses, I would be in a sweet spot and I would sustain that as long as I could. But for these other companies, it's like, if you don't make like 1,000 times your operating expense, it's not a giant blockbuster and it wasn't worth your time to do. So shut that studio down. And that's why I hate to see like the small studios get sucked up, because that's what happens. You know, it's like, let's milk that one blockbuster out of them and then scatter them to the wind or whatever. And you lose that whole like mom and pop thing because Walmart came to town. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And so it makes me super concerned for the future of like, and I could be proven wrong, and God, I hope I get proven wrong, but I again, I do not feel like we're going to see too much improvement anytime soon. And I'm thankful that we have smaller companies still that are making, these indie companies, or, like AA studios that are still going strong, making games. Like, congrats for Starpoint Gemini 3. Like, good job, guys. I'm glad that's a thing that's happening. And I look forward to seeing more about it. And I'm so glad, like, the MechWarrior stuff is making a resurgence in some, form or fashion with BattleTech stuff. Like, I'm really thankful for that. But it's not, you're not seeing any of these massive studios involved in that.
Right, because the era that we're from, MechWarrior and Flight Sims and X-Wing, that is the core of PC gaming hobby, right? It's not out on the fringe.
Those are RTSs, yeah.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, I think, what went on with Grey Goo, because you ended up with a company that had a lot of experience making 4X games, made a damn good 4X game, had an unfortunate name on it, didn't really sell, and then it was like a $5 game a year later, right?
Was Grey Goo a 4X game? Because I thought it was an RTS.
Or not, I mean
an RTS.
RTS,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant RTS. Acronyms.
That's fine. You're
good. But anyway, yeah, so I think that they made a bitchin' good RTS game, like StarCraft good, and then nobody really played it. So that sent the message to the industry, like, don't make an RTS game. Just don't, or it's death, right? It's like the third rail. It's deadly. Yeah. Don't touch RTS, which is unfortunate, right? Because a lot of people still like it, but it's a thing of, like, if there was X number of people that are into it, and that maintains about the same level, but then you have grown the audience for something like Fortnite to like 8 million people instead of a couple 100,000. Well, right. Like, why would you screw around making a game that's going to sell a couple 100,000 when you can actually come out and, make like $1 million a day? So you're wasting your time.
Right.
That's how the bigger companies, but I like stuff like, with LGM, with the whole Starpoint Gemini deal. It's like they got a thing, they're good at it, and they keep like making alterations of, it's like different flavors of the same sort of thing, because they have an audience for that, and they know, it's not a huge audience, but it's enough to sustain their operating costs. So they have jobs, it's the mom and pop mentality, which I like. It's, and they're not dumping the money off to shareholders. So it's not like we made $1 bajillion. Hey, we're broke at the beginning of the year again, so start over. Because that's the way AAA acts, is like they're broke all the time, because quarter to quarter they could die.
They need to show all these profits in order to keep the shareholders happy. That's the problem, the inherent problem,
right?
With AAA.
You could be sitting on a giant pile of money. If the income the next quarter doesn't surpass the previous quarter, you're dead, even though you're sitting on a mountain of money.
Yeah, it's because you don't just need the money; you need all the money.
Right. So
and that's the mentality that the shareholders
can you sustain growth indefinitely? No. So that's why we're looking at a collapse of AAA, I think.
Well,
because they'll get to a point where they just can't, and then it's going to fall.
So here's some final thoughts. Here's some final thoughts that I have on this, because at this point we're probably going to start getting into it. But my final thoughts are this: Ubisoft, keep doing what you're doing.
Agreed.
You're doing good so far. I feel like maybe New Dawn might be a little bit more microtransaction-y than I would like. However, Wildlands, The Division, Far Cry 5, Star Trek Bridge Simulator,
Steep, all these games. Yeah,
really good content. All the Tom Clancy stuff. You guys are doing good. Keep it up. Now, I just don't know how I feel about Blizzard anymore. I'm really nervous about the future of Blizzard with Activision because I'm a Blizzard fanboy, or at least I was. And I do not expect I will ever see a good Star Wars game ever again, and so I'm kind of sad.
I don't think we'll see a good Star Wars anything ever again.
Yeah, well, that's a different show. That goes without saying.
That's a different podcast.
But I just really want to see, something that is not just so focused on trying to milk the money from me. Like, I want to see good gaming content, good gaming experiences, if you're gonna do multiplayer, don't try and force me to do the multiplayer. That's the thing that I'm also seeing too, is a lot of multiplayer games right now are forcing the multiplayer aspect on me. I'm just I'm not interested in that. I like a good co-op. This is why, again, I like the Ubisoft way of looking at things. Wildlands, single player game, drop in co-op. Division 2, single player game, drop in co-op, or multiplayer zones. Far Cry, drop in co-op. That's, if you're gonna do a co-op experience, do it that way. But there's far too many games that are just so focused on straight up multiplayer, and it's not fun.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, the next portion of our new structure is what we're playing. So let's do a round robin real quick. Jim,
we're not doing the airing of grievances yet.
We're never doing that publicly. Jim, what do you? You and Hunter both have been playing Far Cry 5, I've noticed a lot. But what else?
A little bit, yeah. It's got a good sense of humor to it. It definitely doesn't take itself seriously at all. And I kind of need...
Like ramming planes into boats.
Yeah, the Testy Festy. Yeah, that's...
the Testicle Festival. Oh, God, that was so...
On a related note, did you guys see the video I linked where you can actually attach remote control explosives to your dog and then send them to attack?
No,
you can totally do it, and it is effective.
Oh,
yeah, you can
doggy.
You can tell your dog to tell your dog to attack with remote. No, but that's in Far Cry 5 apparently.
Yes, and he'll be fine. He'll come back in a couple of minutes.
Speaking of Ubisoft, though, one last. I pray to God that their new Beyond Good and Evil 2 does well. They've been doing so good with a bunch of other stuff that I just hope Beyond Good and Evil 2 does. Anyway.
Yeah, I hope that too. I mean, the scale they're showing, that does look really impressive.
Yeah, what is that game going to be? Is it going to be an MMO now? Or what? Because it's the scale of it, it's pretty big. I don't know.
It doesn't necessarily have to be an MMO.
No, and then we got the whole Outer Worlds thing that the former Made Good Games guys are making. So, kind of jury's out on that, but I have some hope. And it's also quite spacey. It's let's do space Fallout. Okay, that's fine.
Well, what else are you playing, Jim?
I'm playing Tower 57 at the moment. I'm sucking at it.
It's a hard game. It's also got some clipping issues.
Hard.
It's a tough game.
Yeah, so I've been playing that. I came off of a hell of a Monster Hunter bender that kept me down.
Welcome back, by the way.
Yeah, where you been, man? It's I got you a copy of that, and I don't see you playing it.
Because you went on a hell of a bender. Because you grind up so quickly, it's divisionitis.
No, it's not, because I can play with you back down at your level, and it's not a problem. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not like the monster gets harder because I'm godly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
Hunter, what about you?
Play that shit, and you'll understand. The weapons are a bitch to figure out, by the way. So it's just like you got to pick one and go down the lightning tree, and you'll be fine. Get good with one.
Hunter, what have you been playing lately?
I've been doing a good last several days. It's been a bunch of Far Cry 5. I've just been enjoying just taking it easy, really trying not to take things too seriously.
Sounds like a good game for that.
Yeah, because like I don't let myself get frustrated with it. Like you can easily let yourself get frustrated with games, and the game doesn't take itself too seriously. There is an interesting story there. There's a lot of humor in it.
It's challenging, but it's not like Dark Souls grind your ass into the dirt kind of.
Yeah. I've also had a few Broforce game sessions recently that were quite a lot of fun. They've added quite a few new bros that I didn't know about since the last time I
RoBroCop. RoBroCop. One of my favorites.
Predators in there now.
Really?
Yeah, Predators in there now. Predabro. Or Brodinator or something like that.
Do they have Xenobro?
Terrific.
So you can play
they have a double was it 00 Bro or something like that?
Rambro.
They have
Rambro.
Rambro has been in there for a while. I'm just trying to think of some of they have Highlanders in there now. They put they put in Broheart, as in Braveheart. They put in Broheart.
Oh, no. It's amazing.
So there's quite a few there's quite a few new ones in there that I saw that was actually quite entertaining. They put in oh shoot, what's the damn it, I can't believe I forgot. Girl in a yellow jumpsuit with a samurai.
Kill Bill.
Oh yeah.
They put her in there, which is awesome. She's really good. But the Predator cracks me up because he throws spears like lightning fast. Oh, they put Broden, as in Raiden, is in there. So they got Raiden in there now. So that's fun.
Terrific.
They should just have Odin as Broden.
He just hits people with a tree.
Broforce is one of those games again where just like you just don't take yourself seriously and you just have a good time playing it. It's a lot of fun, especially with or 3.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's interesting about Broforce is it harkens back to the arcade simplicity days.
Yeah,
I've been playing a lot of
Contra
emulator stuff. Yeah, it's like, well, I don't subject myself to Contra, no. Contra is where people go that want to be frustrated. That was the original Dark Souls, was Contra.
As a side note, there's a documentary you guys should probably check out. It's called The Lost Arcade. And
I've heard of this.
It's good. It's really, really good. It's about this arcade in New York, in the heart of the Chinatown district. And it goes through the history of this arcade from over decades and what happened to it in the last 20 years or so, especially, becomes really interesting.
Oh, it's on Prime.
Watch it.
It's on Prime.
That's where I saw it. Watch it.
All right, I've added it to my watch list. Sweet.
And then the last couple, I've been doing a couple of Space Engineer sessions, but again, I just get bored so quickly because once you kind of get yourself into survival mode, it just becomes And then I think I've hit the point where I realized it. I logged into Eve the other day for the first time in probably 4 months.
Yeah.
And I still had training queue going because I guess I was still Omega up to that point. And just was not feeling it. Like usually after a 4-month break, I can like hit the ground running again.
Yeah, no,
but
I canceled my subscription. I just wasn't feeling it anymore either. So.
Well, and the thing is there's just so much junk going on around Eve right now. They have effectively killed off their CSM, which is their their the Council of Stellar Management. Essentially, what it is it's a group of actual EVE players that meet with CCP to discuss game mechanics and EVE issues and all this other stuff. That's gone now. They have killed off the Alliance tournament. They're not going to do them anymore, which is like, what? And there's no Fan Fest this year.
It sounds like maintenance mode.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. NCSoft is going through some stuff too, where it seems like Guild Wars is probably going to be on maintenance.
Yeah, because Guild Wars lost some people this week too.
Yep.
Yeah,
I didn't know Guild Wars. Guild Wars 1 was still going. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I still have my characters. But it's a sad state of affairs for MMOs, and it really hurts because when I think of the pillars of PC gaming, specifically PC gaming, I think of MMOs, RTS, Sims, and first person shooters. And I'm not talking about battle royales. I'm talking about the arena stuff, or like the first person story shooters like Half-Life or something, Doom. It's like those were such pillars and pinnacles of what really made PC gaming amazing. And I just feel like so much of that stuff is getting just melted away.
Yeah.
What about you, Spaz? What have you been playing?
Well, I've mainly been playing Genesis Alpha 1. Still playing it because I'm still trying to unlock those last few things I need to unlock. I'm still working on the finish a Genesis event without anyone dying. And I'm on attempt about 18 at this point.
Holy cats.
Yeah, because you can get so far and then just have a random death and it screws up the whole run. Because just getting to the first one is all you really need.
Oh, jeez.
Now, bearing in mind that on my previous runs, I've had 6+ Genesis events done in a single run. So that's not really difficult to do if you're not accounting for anyone dying. But if you're trying to keep anyone from dying off, that's kind of a tough thing to pull off. So I've been working on that. And I've also been still playing EDF 5 because that is so much fun.
EDF.
Yeah. EDF is great. I can't wait for it to come to PC someday. So
this is one of those things where, you have the console exclusives for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And yet it still works out. I mean, because once it does come to PC, it's going to come to PC. It's just a matter of time.
I know. I just want it now.
Doesn't make it less frustrating. I get that.
I just want it. I waded back into the pond that is Hitman. I tried the training missions for a while and I was terrible at them, but I feel I'm going to get past this open training mission, and I'm going to fucking do it and finally get into the campaign. And I did. It took
Is this the one where you're on the boat?
No,
that's Hitman 1, right? Not 2.
Well, no, I'm playing Hitman 1 in Hitman 2, which is a neat thing you can do. I passed the boat one, but now I'm on a Russian base. And then the final test is a Russian base where you have to kill some chess master who is a double agent.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember that.
And I found a way to kill him by having him go through a pre-flight check after making sure the ejector seat worked and having him test the ejector seat, and it flung him off into God knows where, and he died. It was amazing. It was very funny. So now I'm on the first level, which is the Paris level. It's at a fashion show, and you got to kill 2 people. And I'm not good at this game because I'm not patient, and I'm trying to be. I'm really trying to be, because this game forces you to be patient. Like, you have to walk around. You have to listen to conversations. You have to keep an eye on your targets. You have to make sure you don't get too close to people who can spot you. You have to see who's vulnerable so you can knock them out and take their disguise. There's just so much going on these levels. And I think I've died 5 times on the Paris level, but I want to kill. There are challenges too. They give you challenges like to give you an idea of what the things you can do, and you can kill one of the people by dropping a chandelier on them. I want to do that so badly.
Once you get really good at that game, then it becomes like a comedy murder simulator.
That's what I want. I want to get good so I can, like, I'm finally kind of getting the hang of it. So I took 3 security guards out in one room by first throwing a screwdriver in the face of one, then throwing a wrench, kind of like heat signature a little bit, and then throwing like a pipe at the other one. I knocked them all out. And I have the most
success. I have the most success with just setting up accidental deaths and stepping out of the way and just letting it happen.
I'm not there yet. Like I need to find poison to poison stuff first. But it's fascinating. Like
water and electricity are your friends.
No other game has taught me patience like this game has. Like most games, I am just like, nope, gotta go, gotta run, gotta kill, gotta go. This game, like, nope, slow down, take a breath.
We need to help the next time we play Wildlands because you do need patience for that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
So speaking of Wildlands, Far Cry 5 is like hillbilly Wildlands.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
There's
and Wildlands has their big update coming. The big it's like the next day.
There's a PvE mode and a PvP mode and a bunch of other stuff coming, I think. Yeah,
it'll probably be good to dive back in at some point. Far Cry 5 has this really funny side quest, and we mentioned it earlier about the Testicle Festival. There's like three missions involved in it. One of them includes actually going and releasing cows into the bullpen. Oh, and in order to fulfill this quest, you have to collect the specimen. And it starts playing like Barry White or something like that.
No, it's Marvin Gaye.
That's what it is. Marvin Gaye. Let's get it on. It's so funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because you have to collect the bull testicles when they're at the height of arousal. So you release the girl cows and then set the bull loose, and then you kill him and take his nuts.
It's so ridiculous.
Well, the other game I've been playing, I loaded up Titanfall 2 because that's what Apex Legends made me want to play. And
hey, let me know if you want to play some of that multiplayer.
I'm gonna go through the campaign first. I'm going through the campaign first because I am rusty, but I'm getting better. But I missed wall jumping and double jumping while running, and I finally made it to the time jump mission in Titanfall 2's campaign. Which is, I think, one of the finest missions in any first. I think it's like for years my favorite level of any first-person shooter was the tumbling ship level in Jedi Knight. Do y'all remember that one?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Well, Effect and Cause has topped it for me as the best like first-person shooter level ever. So that I finally got to that, which is astounding. But that guys, if you haven't played Titanfall 2, it goes on sale so much. You can get it for like $5, or I think if you join the EA Access, you get it there too. The campaign is just a wonder. You should, even if you never get into multiplayer, just play it for the campaign. It's an absolute
excellent
wonder.
Campaign.
Oh my god, it's so good. But that has been most of my gaming time. So what is next on our agenda? What's coming up? So, Thursday, Spaz and I are going to be returning to Divinity Original Sin. We were going to play that last week, but some shit came up. So we're going to play that Thursday.
What?
And then,
man.
What?
I was going to play the whatever the other game was this Thursday.
Off-Road
Wasn't
Trading?
it Off-Road Trading?
That's next week now. Well, maybe. Here's the thing.
So yeah, we had to move some stuff around on the schedule.
But here's the thing. I have a house guest. I have a house guest coming in next week. So there's no podcast.
Just tell them if they stay, they play.
Like, hand them a controller.
So, friends, there's no podcast next week because of that. I had to cancel the Warbital podcast. I felt bad, but I mean, my guests are going to be sleeping in this room. So I can't have a podcast at 6 a.m., you know? And I don't know if we're going to do anything.
Special guest.
Sorry, and I don't know if we're going to have a LAN party next week, again, because of my house guest situation. I have no idea what's happening there yet. Damn it, I'm sorry. But so yeah, next week is going to be a weird one. But we're going to be back in a couple of weeks at least. I'm trying to get a guest for the 12th, but they haven't confirmed yet. But we did confirm Objects in Space for March 19th. Disgustingly excited about that one. Because that, folks, if you're not aware, Objects in Space leaves early access on Friday. And it is probably my most anticipated space game of the year. That and probably Rebel Galaxy Outlaw are probably tops for me. Damn it, I'm sorry. So I'm just disgustingly excited about it. But that was our new, well, we have to do thank you and outro, but that was pretty much our new structure. I think what I might do is do a few fewer news pieces, like maybe pick the top 3 so that goes more quickly, you know?
Well, we can discuss this.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Right. I can talk to the guests, see what they think. But folks, I want to thank you for listening and watching. Just a few things. We have a new Teespring shop where you can buy shirts and tote bags and mugs and all sorts of things with the Space Game Junkie logo on it that helps support the costs of running this thing. And it's not the cheapest thing in the world, so every dollar helps. We also have a Patreon, and I want to thank especially our Patreon supporters. I'm going to be doing a Patreon refresh in probably a couple of weeks. Got to get the tiers down right, but those tiers are going to include said merch. Like $5 you get a sticker, $10 you get a tote bag, $20 you get a t-shirt, that sort of thing.
$20 you get actual Patreon tiers.
Yes, I will send you a jar of tears, of my tears, because I'm so happy you decided to give me $20 a month.
And hey, if you put even more, we'll send you JPEGs of ships.
God damn.
Oh, yeah, that's the $1,000 tier.
Excellent. Yes. Not just ships, but what their toilets look like too.
You got me. God damn it. I had to mute the mic.
Dude, Brian, can I have a section on the website that will be dedicated to the Space Game Toilet Museum?
No. You can start your own Space Game Toilet Museum if you'd like, but that is not. I'd rather keep the junk out of Junkie. Okay. But
Space Game Junkie?
Yeah. Fuck. Goddamn. Fucking goddamn. Fuck.
We've killed Brian. Brian's dead. Show's up.
So, folks, again, we're trying the structure out. I liked it. I'm going to keep it. I think we're going to keep it. But if you have any suggestions or, thoughts on the structure, please feel free to hit us up in the comments or via email, or we have a Discord server if you haven't joined over there. It's great. It's probably our most active community. You can find links to that on spacegamejunkie.com or below if you're watching on YouTube or some of the other services. But yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching and supporting and all that stuff. You guys are awesome. And we will see you Thursday for Divinity Original Sin. And then a couple weeks after that. So thanks, everyone, and have a great night. Oh, and I'm sorry, folks on the stream. I don't know what happened to the internet tonight, but it is jacked. So I have no idea what happened. It was fine last night. It's Tuesday.
Too much testosterone.
It's just Tuesday, I guess. Well, no, yeah, maybe that too. So good night, everyone. Thanks for watching, and bye.